Why do you miss people who hurt you? Have you ever sat there and thought, why do I miss someone who treated me terribly? Like, seriously, this person lied to you, ignored you, disrespected you, made you cry. Maybe they betrayed your trust, and after all of that, your brain decides that 2:47 a.m. is the perfect time to remember that one day they made you laugh. Really, brain? That's what we're doing right now? It's almost like your brain has a tiny employee sitting in an office. You walk in and say, "Hey, can we review all the terrible things this person did?" And the employee goes, "Of course." Then he opens a folder labeled Good Memories. You point at the other folder and say, "What about the bad memories?" And he just slowly pushes it off the desk. Oops, looks like we lost that one. So does this mean humans are just stupid? Well, honestly, sometimes, but not this time. There's actually a reason your brain works like this. For almost all of human history, being alone was dangerous. No tribe, no protection, no people to help you hunt. No one watching your back. A lonely human thousands of years ago wasn't just sad. He was lunch. So your brain evolved to treat human connection as something extremely valuable, sometimes a little too valuable. Your brain has a very old security system. Think of it as a caveman security guard who still works inside your head. You tell him, "Hey, this person keeps hurting us. We should leave." The caveman looks outside the cave and says, "Okay, but what if we leave and a giant tiger eats us?" You're like, "Dude, there are no tigers." And he says, "That's exactly what the tiger wants you to think." So now your modern brain is trying to explain relationships to a security guard who is about 100,000 years behind on software updates. Give him some credit. He's trying his best. He's just incredibly outdated. But there's another reason you miss people who hurt you. Your brain loves familiarity, even when familiarity is painful. Imagine you have a pair of shoes, and inside those shoes is a giant rock. Every single day you walk around. Every step hurts. Your feet are screaming. Your body is begging you to take them off. Then someone says, "Why are you still wearing those?" And you respond, "Because these are my shoes." Sounds ridiculous, but humans do this all the time. We stay attached to people because they're familiar, not because they're good for us. Sometimes we don't miss the person. We miss the routine, the good morning texts, the jokes, the memories, the feeling of having someone there. And that's where our brain plays one of its greatest tricks. It takes the old version of someone and puts them inside a museum, a perfect little glass case, with a sign that says, "Please do not touch, good memories only." Meanwhile, reality is standing outside the glass, banging on the door. "Hello? Remember what happened last month?" But the brain says, "Shh, we're having a nostalgia moment." And the craziest part? Your brain is actually terrible at being a historian. Like, seriously. If your brain was in charge of a history museum, half the exhibits would be missing. A giant room would be labeled, "Great moments with this person." It would have bright lights, music, and pictures everywhere. Then there would be a tiny little closet in the back labeled, "Terrible things they did." And somehow the door is locked. Your brain is basically a terrible lawyer. It walks into the courtroom and says, "Your Honor, my client did lie, disappear, break promises, and ruin our mental health." Then it pulls out one old photograph. "But look how cute we were at the beach." Case dismissed. And that sounds ridiculous, but that's exactly what nostalgia does. It takes moments that made us feel safe, loved, or happy and puts a spotlight on them. Meanwhile, all the painful moments are standing in the shadows yelling, "Hey, we were important too." Another reason we miss people who hurt us is because our brains hate unfinished stories. Humans love closure. We like movies with endings, books with final chapters. We like knowing why something happened, but relationships don't always give us that. Sometimes somebody leaves. Sometimes they change. Sometimes they hurt us and never apologize. And your brain sits there like a detective with a giant board full of pictures and red strings. Okay, but why did they do that? Maybe if I understand it, it won't hurt anymore. Sometimes it's not the person we're attached to. Sometimes it's the question marks they left behind. And then there's the version of yourself you lost with them. Think about it. Maybe you miss the person, or maybe you miss the person you were around them. The version of you that laughed more. The version of you that had plans for the future. The version of you who believed everything was going to work out. When that person leaves, it can feel like they took that version of you with them. But they didn't. They simply met a version of you that existed during that chapter of your life. That person is still somewhere inside you. This is also why moving on can feel so strange. Your brain treats emotional pain almost like physical pain. Imagine touching a hot stove. You immediately pull your hand away. Simple. But emotional pain is different. You can know something hurt you and somehow still reach back toward it. Humans are weird like that. We can miss the very thing that broke us. We can cry over the person who made us cry. We can wait for a message from the person we promised we would never speak to again. Honestly, our brains are kind of dramatic, but maybe that's what makes us human. We are creatures that can hold two truths at the same time. Someone can have been important to you and still not be good for you. You can be grateful for the memories while also being grateful that the chapter ended. Missing someone does not always mean they belong in your future. Think about your childhood home. You may miss the smell of the house, the old room, the memories, the feeling of being young. But that doesn't mean you should move back into your childhood bedroom forever. Some people are the same way. They were a home during a certain time in your life. They gave you memories. They gave you lessons. They helped shape who you became. But not every home is meant to be lived in forever. Some homes become dangerous. Some homes fall apart. And sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is appreciate what that place once was while accepting that you can no longer stay there. So the next time you catch yourself missing someone who hurt you, don't immediately think you're weak. Don't think there is something wrong with you. Your brain is simply doing what it has always done, trying to protect something that once felt important. The real challenge of being human is learning the difference between something that was meaningful and something that still belongs in your future. Because some memories are meant to be visited, not moved back into. And maybe that's one of the strangest things about being human. The people who hurt us the most are sometimes the people we will remember forever.